Good evening, everyone. Hello, everybody. My name is Peggy Kilburn. I am the Managing Director for the Hall of Fame Awards, and it is truly my pleasure to welcome you here this evening to the 23rd Annual Women in Technology Hall of Fame Induction Ceremony. Woohoo! Most of you know that WITI's Hall of Fame was established in 1996 to honor and promote the outstanding contributions that women make to the scientific and technological communities that improve and evolve our society. The 6 women we're saluting tonight are at the forefront of this evolution. They're exceptional examples of women who have made a powerful difference in the fields of science and technology. And without a forum like the WITI Hall of Fame, women we need to inspire us and the generations to come would get lost in the annals of history and time. You've probably noticed the inspiring details on the screens, paying tribute to the 114 alumnae who have entered the Hall of Fame since 1996. These women set a high benchmark, and our 2018 inductees add substantially to their outstanding list of achievements. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our master or mistress of ceremonies for this evening, Colleen Kane. Colleen has been a dear friend of mine since we were both young pups, well, younger anyway, and our paths crossed at a WITI summit some years ago. Colleen has been closely involved with the WITI organization for 10 years and serves as the membership and events chair. She currently heads up talent acquisition for the Electronics Research Lab at Volkswagen Group of America. Colleen.
Thank you. Thank you. It is such an honor to be in this room with such a powerful gathering of exceptional women in science and technology. I'm delighted to take part in this celebration of excellence with you. On behalf of WITI and the Silicon Valley, I'd like to thank our friends, colleagues, and associates who have graciously traveled from all over the world to join us. On behalf of our honorees, past and present, as well as our sponsors, guests, and friends, we offer a very special thanks to all of WITI's dynamic team for creating the Hall of Fame Awards and the Women in Technology Summit every year. As you can imagine, producing an event of this magnitude is a daunting task and a tribute to all of your passion and dedication. We'd also like to thank each of you in this room tonight. All of you are helping to pave the way for future generations of scientists and technologists by helping to make this evening possible. And it's both humbling and inspiring to join you. Before we meet this year's distinguished honorees, I'd first like to bring to the stage a woman whose vision continues to illuminate the path for women worldwide. A woman who ignited a movement that spans across the US and throughout the world. A woman who forged ahead in turbulent times, particularly when the thought of hiring, advancing, and equality for women in the workplace was essentially unthinkable. May I present a visionary, a trailblazer, and an extraordinary woman, WITI's founder, Carolyn Layton.
Good evening, everyone. I said good evening, everyone. So when I started WITI, I really didn't want to be here. I wanted to be behind the scenes. But when I started WITI, I was building a firm that I had started called Criterion Research. My clients were aerospace and technology companies. And it was then that the women in those companies educated me about what was happening to them professionally and how much pain they were in and how trapped they felt. And so I thought it would be a great idea. The internet was just coming into the mainstream to start just an online network so I could connect women in all aspects of technology to each other to give each other a competitive edge. And when we had our first corporate meeting at Sun Microsystems in Silicon Valley, we expected about 50 people, but 350 showed up. And every one of those women in the room wanted to start a WITI chapter, and my phone was ringing off the hook because we hit a nerve that was much needed for these women who were bright, talented, well-educated, and felt they couldn't make it work for themselves in their current conditions. So WITI grew very rapidly after that, and now we are the leading organization in the world for women in technology. But what drives me after almost 30 years is a night like this, because seeing the women who have passed through the Hall of Fame reminds me of why we're doing all of this. It's so important to recognize that women contribute so much to technology and science, and thank you for being here for honoring them. That is really important, and we really appreciate it. Thank you. I see great opportunity for WITI to show the marketplace how women can continue to lead and be leaders in companies, and how companies can benefit. Because our message from the beginning at WITI was, don't hire us because we're women. We have no interest in just you're reaching out in a charitable way and giving us a job. But recognize what we can do for your business, for your company, and give us a chance to be leaders, because we know what the world looks like now, and we think we can do a better job. So I would ask you to consider if you feel your organization is truly on the right path, or if you feel it's time for change, to open up, to look at new possibilities and different ways of doing things, then reach out to us, because we have built very successful platforms for making it work for everyone. We're all in this together, men, women, people of different cultures. The more we can work together and collaborate, everybody wins. So thank you again. I know you're going to have an inspiring, amazing evening. Take care. Thank you. Oh, yes. So a few years, I had to be reminded. A few years ago, when I was watching President Obama going through the annual State of the Union, where they come in and they shake everybody's hands, I thought, wouldn't it be great if we could recognize all the Hall of Famers like that? So in a few minutes, we're going to have a State of the Union for the Hall of Fame women. When they come in through the door, I want everyone to cheer them, to clap for them, to show incredible enthusiasm and appreciation for the work that they have done. So it's going to start right now. Okay, here they come.
Members of the Hall of Fame are women who have made outstanding contributions based on one or more of the following criteria. First, having directly made an exceptional contribution to the advancement of science and/or technology. Second, facilitated and created programs that motivate young women to choose careers in science and technology. Third, enabled and encouraged other scientific and technical women to advance in their careers. And fourth, created scientific or technological innovations which promote environmental harmony, support humanitarian endeavors, or improve the human condition. You'll find the full biographical sketches for this year's honorees on the WITI website. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we now begin the 2018 WITI Hall of Fame inductions. Our first honoree is Rashmi Rao. Rashmi is an award-winning technologist and leader with 20-plus years of experience. She is currently the Senior Director of Advanced Engineering for COC User Experience at Harman. Rashmi is focused on combining cutting-edge technologies with advanced UX design and human-machine interactions. Let's watch this video to learn more about Rashmi Rao.
I genuinely believe that if we can get more people educated on science and technology and how to use it for the betterment of other people's lives, we will all win. I have been super fortunate to get the opportunity as Samsung and Harman came together to bring one of the disruptive display technologies, quantum dot-based displays, QLED technology, from the television market into the automotive market.
First thing that comes to my mind when I think of Rashmi is her passion for innovation.
And that's refreshing to have in Detroit, in Novi, in Michigan, as we're really bringing the technology industry and the automotive industry together.
She's one of the most qualified people with 21 patents to her name and experiences ranging from Apple, Qualcomm, such innovative companies, and now working with Harman and Samsung and bringing new products to the market.
My parents and my extended family have had a strong influence in where I am today. They have had a strong influence in me picking engineering and technology as a career path, and more importantly, sticking with it. I also have been super fortunate to have very good mentors. In particular, my advisor, Dr. Alan McDermott, who was a Nobel laureate in chemistry. One thing I learned from him was to never be afraid to disrupt yourself.
I could tell right away that she was passionate about transforming our business here at Harman with regard to displays and improving the user experience. She's been a real leader because she's listening to her team and helping to deliver the absolute best for Harman.
Rashmi is a great example of a strong female leader in technology space. Rashmi brings a very unique experience to Harman.
If I was to describe Rashmi in 3 words, it would be energy, passion, and innovation. Rashmi has been a driving force in Harman's connected car technology in the field of user experience, and we're proud to have Rashmi as part of the Samsung technology powerhouse.
Displays and HMI are critical for the oncoming revolution that we're seeing in autonomous as well as connected car. To have a front row has been super fulfilling, and I'm really excited of what is to come in the future.
Here to introduce Rashmi is AJ John, a client relations executive at ADP, as well as a Six Sigma black belt. And not incidentally, Rashmi's husband. Presenting Rashmi with her award is Nikhil Balram, Senior Director of Engineering for AR and VR at Google, and Rashmi's mentor. Thank you.
Well, Rashmi, where do I begin? I've just been given 90 seconds to encapsulate a lifetime of achievements. And you know what? The story is still unfolding. Her book is just halfway through, right? So we've been together for 21 years now, and I'm still young, regardless of my hairstyle, right? 21 years. And it's been an amazing honor to watch her, right, as a young engineer to where she stands today. She never ceases to amaze, right? A beautiful mind, a beautiful and brilliant mind, an amazing mother, and the best friend, best partner in crime, right? And her story is still continuing, right? So one of the things that I know, right, after living for half of my life with her is she has a certain code by which she lives. A certain code, the best way I would distill that to make into a tangible statement, or maybe tangible 3 statements, it truly encapsulates what she lives by. So the first point, or the first statement is never be afraid to disrupt status quo to follow your dreams, to follow your beliefs, right? Because that's truly what brought her to where she is today, right? Now, the road less traveled, it's a cliche at this point. It's been passé. And what she's doing now is not the road less traveled. It limits yourself, but create new paths, new roads. And that's where she excels again and again and again. The second point truly is pay it forward, always. You did not reach where you are by yourself. Right? You had people pave the way. It's your legacy. That's what you're going to let back one day, correct? You look back, and that really is your legacy. And finally, there is one more point, which I need to collect myself. It's your life. It's your career. You own it. Nobody else will help you there. Nobody else can own it the way you do. It's yours. Take it and run with it. So to bring this down to a close, I've seen her through times as a young female engineer, the only female electrical engineer at the Indian Institute of Science. I've seen her through a stint at GE's Global Research Institute. I've seen her through a career at Apple, at Qualcomm. And she has never failed to break boundaries, and not just to redefine the what is, but truly the what can be. And she's never failed, right? And currently today at Harman Samsung, what she's doing is truly revolutionary. And in the automotive user experience field, what she's doing is she is looking at redefining the way that you interact, feel, and think with your personal automobile, right? And with that, she is bridging 2 huge behemoths, the technology world and the automotive world. She truly is the bridge between Detroit and Silicon Valley. So that being said, I would like to invite Rashmi on stage to receive a truly deserved acknowledgement of a finely crafted career. Rashmi, it's your turn.
All right. Thank you very much for that great introduction. He's already said everything, like he always does. When I came to Silicon Valley, 2003, as a young engineer with a lot of dreams and hopes of making it big here, this was definitely a part of the plan, but something that I didn't actually truly believe was going to happen. To stand here today among this august company that I am a part of, and to accept this award, it's almost surreal. But to me, I think if there is one thing that I can leave with all of you, it is something I truly believe in, which is people have worked, Caroline has enabled us to have this platform. There have been giants. We are standing on the shoulders of giants that have enabled us to be here today. And there is more than ever a need in today's environment that we continue this legacy, that we continue to enable each other and give the same opportunity that has been given to us, if not more, to the generation that is coming. And so if I can ask one thing, is to pay it forward. I truly believe that if each of us took it as our personal responsibility to enable other women in our workplaces, whether it's in the field of technology or otherwise, it will be amazing. And probably one day we will be talking about engineers and not female engineers and male engineers. And I hope I'm around to see that day. Thank you very much. I'm truly honored to accept this award.
It is with great pleasure that we welcome Rashmi Rao to the Women in Technology Hall of Fame tonight. Okay, Rhonda Childress. Rhonda is an IBM Fellow Vice President as well as GTS Data Security and Privacy Officer. She is only one of 25 female IBM Fellows in IBM history, and as an IBM Master Inventor, she holds over 120 issued patents. She was honored by the State Bar of Texas IP Law as Co-Inventor of the Year, and is a dedicated global champion for the advancement of women and other underrepresented minorities across the industry. Let's watch this video to learn more about Rhonda.
Hall of Fame careers are not planned. A Hall of Fame career is what happens when hard work and dedication meets opportunity.
I was diagnosed with a basic math disability, which meant I could not add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Luckily, I had a brilliant geometry teacher who recognized my problem and worked with me. I became interested because of that in math and engineering and technology.
Rhonda, you were one of the first people I met when I joined IBM. Seeing you delicately balance a career, family, and kids made me realize it certainly wasn't going to be easy, but it was possible.
Rhonda has this really amazing ability to bring out the best in everyone she works with.
I first met Rhonda through my dad about 2 years ago. I was 11 at the time. I told her about some fun projects I was working on at home, like tinkering with some exploits and blooming.
Rhonda Childress, my mentor, my best friend, IBM Fellow, and VP. One thing that really stands out about Rhonda is that she hasn't changed throughout all of her promotions. She's still very approachable and gets down in the weeds. When I grow up, I want to be just like her. She is truly an inspiration to both men and women.
The work that you do is amazing, and the work that you specifically do with STEM and women in technology and getting kids excited about technology is really an investment in the future.
If you're wearing this at school, and they've really got it so, you know, the material is all embedded in there and you can really change the color, and then somebody puts a really rude message up there, hacks the skirt and puts a really rude message up there. I have no clue what she's putting up there, so God only knows.
Your energy and zest for life is contagious. From your scuba diving escapades to your quilting for charities to your chili competitions.
As a mentor, she has taught me to take issues, both business and technical, and convert them into opportunities. And the real trick to that is mindset.
When I think about you as a mentor and the most impactful event in my life, I always come back to when you gave me the option to even dream that I could become an inventor too.
There's two things I especially love about Rhonda. First, she shares her knowledge openly to help others look good. Second, she's always there for us. Nights, weekends, whenever we need her, she's there.
Your passion towards STEM also rubbed on me, so I'll definitely carry that forward as well. You're a true source of inspiration to kids like my two daughters.
You inspire not only me, but many future technologists, like my daughter, Trinity.
Congratulations, Rhonda, on being inducted into the WITI Hall of Fame.
Congratulations, Rhonda. Thank you very much for inspiring all of us.
Congratulations, and keep inspiring people.
Here to introduce Rhonda Childress is Virginia Mayo, Senior Technical Staff Member and Rhonda's colleague at IBM.
Good evening. First of all, I'm going to go off the cuff, so I'm apologizing. Had this 90-second speech, but I'm going to try to go fast. Instead, I will share part of this letter I wrote on my way here. I want you all to have an insight to the women that I know, to my friend. So a couple of weeks ago, because of Rhonda's tormenting, I put forward a package to become an IBM Distinguished Engineer. I rattled off a string of reasons why I was not ready. I had only been an STSM for 2 years. My home run project hasn't yet hit the mark I wanted to. And the last reason caught her off guard. I did not want to bear that burden of the Scarlet D, the diversity female candidate. Oh, she spoke to me sternly. And if you know Rhonda, you know that tone. Young lady, do you think this place is a better place because you are here? Without missing a beat, I said, hell yes. That's the kind of person Rhonda is. She is extraordinary, but she's very real. Throughout her career milestones, what has been a constant in Rhonda's life is her deep passion for innovation, but most importantly, her genuine interest in making a difference. In the past few years, Rhonda has taken up yet another passion project, building a pipeline of students interested in STEM careers. It's been very important to me to have a senior executive female mentor. Through Rhonda's own life, I saw it was possible to have balance, to raise a family, coach up-and-coming technical leaders, give back to my community, my tribe, and have a career in a favorable trajectory. She uses her own status to raise the voice of the 24 IBM Distinguished Engineers and 28 IBM Senior Technical Staff members she coaches. She holds that door to technical eminence just wide enough for all of us to squeak in. And because of this, it is not only Rhonda's friends and family that celebrate her. All of us that benefit from her guidance and the hundreds whose lives we, her proteges, collectively change, inspire, and influence, celebrate Rhonda tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you my friend, my inspiration, 2018 WITI Hall of Fame inductee, Ms. Rhonda Childress.
I am so going to get even. By the way, this is Trinity Polycarpio. And it's because of Trinity I do the things that I do. And I'm going to try not to cry, because Virginia's speech was so good. I want to thank Mrs. Morgan, who was my math instructor, who showed me that I could do math and that I could do it well, and I wasn't stupid or dumb. Talon Weststein, who was probably one of the best VPs I've ever worked for. He asked me to do a budget one year, and I said, "You do know I can't add, subtract, multiply, and divide, right?" And he said, "That's what Excel spreadsheets are for. I just need you to apply your usual common sense." I went, "Oh, thank God for that." To the purple Twitter skirt and Kim Eckert, who made the fabric, I want to say thank you for starting all of it. My cleaning lady who quit because of it, because she was tired of cleaning the glitter out of every place in the house. To Stephanie Hubert and to Robert Saunders, who actually made my outfit from the University of Arkansas. It was a collaborative design that we did together. The computer science and computer engineering folks did the electronics, and the fashion group actually helped design it. To my mom and dad, who never said no to me, regardless of what I wanted to do. So when I didn't want to take home ec, and nobody had ever done that before, I stood up and said, "I'm not taking home ec. I want to take shop class." My dad, God bless his heart, went and lobbied, and 5 of us actually went and took shop class for the first time in junior high school. And we all came out with our fingers still attached. No accidents or anything like that. And to my tribe, who's down here making lots of noise, I want to say thank you guys so very much for coming. And I want to close with, look, only you can write your own story. Just remember that. And in the immortal words of Dr. Mae Jemison, never be limited by other people's limited imaginations. Thank you.
One moment, please, young lady. Let's again welcome Rhonda Childress to the WITI Hall of Fame. Oh. Yanbing Li is our next honoree. Dr. Li is the Senior Vice President and General Manager of the Storage and Availability Business Unit at VMware. Yanbing is a globally minded high-tech executive with extensive leadership experience in general management and engineering, both in the US and China. Let's watch this video to learn more about Yanbing Li.
My name is Yanbing Li. I'm the Senior Vice President and General Manager at the Storage and Availability Business Unit at VMware. Growing up in China in a family where my mother was a doctor, my father was an engineer, it just seems like STEM was in my blood. I remember having this curiosity and just insatiable thirst about anything science. I was wanting to be a scientist even when I was in first grade. I asked my grandparents, not for bedtime stories, but for a really, really difficult math puzzle, when I was very, very young. I got into engineering for my undergraduate in China. I came to the States for graduate study. So in the end, I got my PhD from Princeton University in electrical engineering and computer engineering. So after receiving my PhD, naturally, I ended up in Silicon Valley. At that time, I was thinking I'm going to use my education to change the world. One of the valuable lessons I've learned in 20 plus years of professional experience is, innovation and changing the world is really not about a good, big idea. It's fundamentally about, how you apply these ideas and things you've learned into solving real-world problems. And this is why I changed my course of profession from initially being in research, focusing on creating big ideas, to becoming a developer and engineer, and later on running an engineering organization. So it's that learning and growth and really appreciations of engineering is about taking the ideas but fundamentally translating them into solutions that make our customers successful. It's an incredibly exciting time for technology because technology is ubiquitous, it's really everywhere. It is entrenched in every aspect of how we live, how we conduct business, and it's disrupting every industry out there. It's also an exciting time for young women who have aspiration for a career in STEM. The access to technology is everywhere. The access starts at a very, very young age. And we have a lot of incredible role models in this room today who can provide the support, the inspiration, the encouragement, and the mentorship for these young women to have very successful career in technology.
Introducing Yan Bing is her friend and colleague, Betsy Sutter, the Chief People Officer at VMware.
What a thrill it is to be here. Oh, this is terrific. Okay, so let me start with this. Business Insider will soon release their list of most powerful women in engineering. And we don't know if or where Yanbing Li will rank this year, but in both 2015 and in 2017, Yanbing was ranked number 7. So while many of you will know Yanbing for her love of both high tech and high heels, at VMware we think of Yanbing as our very own Agent 007. So both inside and outside of VMware, Yanbing is nothing short of inspirational. I've known her for the past 10 years, and I've seen her navigate some of the most complex business problems with intensity and passion that is really unmatched. Without a doubt, she has had a tremendous impact on our company. Starting as an engineering manager, she did move to Beijing. We asked her to do that, and she ran our China operations for quite some time. As the video said, she is currently the Senior Vice President and General Manager of our Storage and Availability Business Unit, which, by the way, is our fastest growing business. And if you know Yanbing Li, you wouldn't expect any less. Now with that, she also happens to be our first female general manager at VMware. So Yanbing is a mentor to many, many women across the globe, and she inspires them in very unique ways. One is that she's known for saying to never shy away from a challenge and do not be afraid of taking on some of the world's gnarliest problems. And Yanbing walks the talk every single day, and I must say she does that in much nicer shoes than I do. You may have heard of her incredible work as a distinguished engineer, as a futurist, as a strategist, and a powerful business leader. But she is so much more. Yanbing Li is also a daughter, a sister, a wife, and a mother, and she is an astute tech business leader by day, and I secretly know that she's most likely a high-heel, high-end shoe designer by night. So there's a saying that success occurs when preparation meets opportunity. And I have watched Yanbing over the past decade hone her skills and capabilities in preparation for all sorts of opportunities. So Yanbing is a rare combination of a brilliant engineer who is business savvy. Her IQ and her EQ allow her to thrive in a very competitive and dynamic environment. She leads with her head and her heart. She knows who she is. Her North Star is always within her sight, and her impact has been and will continue to be so powerful. Yanbing Li, she's an original. Congratulations, Yanbing.
Thank you, Bessie, for that amazing introduction. I was really embarrassed and humbled. It's just, you have been such an inspiration and such a role model to not only being a really strong leader, but really a role model for all of the women supporting other women. So thank you, Bessie. I want to use this opportunity to thank Carolyn for her vision in starting the WITI organization, and I want to thank WITI for this amazing recognition. So I was thinking about what I was going to say in this 90 seconds, and I thought I had everything planned until I had this dinner conversation with my children. And so my husband was bragging to my children about me receiving this wonderful recognition tonight. So my son asked this very innocent question, and he said, "Mom, tell me exactly what you did to deserve this great honor. What is the exact invention or technology that you've introduced?" And I found myself speechless. Even though I had an engineering background, I realized I have not written a single line of code in the past 10 years that got into a product. Maybe I have done it on my spare time. So this is also the moment that it dawned on me that being recognized with this special award is really a recognition to the great organization and the great team and the great people that I've been associated with over the past many years. And many of them are sitting right here at the VMware table. So what I've learned is also, changing the world with technology is not an individual act. Even though I have not been a frontline engineer, I was able to work with wonderful people who came up with big, bold, audacious, innovative ideas that's bringing a lot of disruption to the industry, that's bringing a lot of disruption to the marketplace, and that's changing and transforming businesses for our customers. So I'm really here receiving this award in recognition for the people and the organization I'm associated with, and I want to thank all of my team for being here to support me, all of my colleagues at VMware for supporting me at this wonderful night. And thank you so much. Yes.
It is with the greatest pleasure that we welcome Dr. Yanbing Li to the Women in Technology Hall of Fame this evening. Our next honoree is Roz Ho. She is the senior. Roz is the Senior Vice President and General Manager of the Consumer and Metadata teams at TiVo. Roz has extensive experience managing engineering teams and key product launches. With more than 25 years of experience in the technology industry, Roz holds numerous patents in software and hardware innovations. Let's see more about Roz Ho.
My story really started before I was born. My mother was an engineering student in China, one of the first female ones in the 1940s. And she's really been my role model. She's the one that inspired me to become a scientist and really motivated me and told me always that I could do whatever it is that the boys can do. My first job as a programmer was with Bank of America, working on their large-scale ATM system, which really was impactful and really changed how people get money from the bank. Then I spent 4 years at Hewlett-Packard as a software developer, working on a graphical user environment to make it easier for people to use computers. And from there I went to Microsoft for 22 years. I actually started on the PowerPoint team. This is back in the days when people were still using transparencies and markers to put things on the overhead. What I brought to PowerPoint was to make it easier for people to communicate with each other. And today, probably 1 billion people are using this product, so I like to think that that was a significant impact to the world. So in 2003, I became the general manager of the Macintosh business unit at Microsoft. I got to work with Steve Jobs, and he was inspirational, and he really taught me that design for the customer is everything. My next assignment at Microsoft was to design a phone for consumers. So it was an integrated hardware, software, and cloud services solution, one of the first of its kind. I generally like to work on things that I think are fun. And by fun, my definition is that it's a problem that needs solving and I have a solution in mind. A year ago, I joined TiVo to learn new technologies like machine learning and apply that to transform the metadata business from an editorial business to a technology platform. Outside of my daily work, I'm very passionate about getting more women into technology. I believe it's very important because technology is such an impactful part of society. It's important that 100% of the population is involved in creating that technology. Aside from doing a lot of speaking engagements, mentoring women, and being the executive sponsor for the Women in TiVo, I also participate and fund several other scientific expeditions to preserve vanishing languages and culture. I like being challenged. I'm all about learning new things. I guess I will just say, big things are worth doing because this is how you invent new things. This is how you solve complex problems. And that's really what my whole career has been about. And sometimes we build products that people love out of that. Hopefully, you do that more often than not.
Here to introduce Roz is her friend and colleague, Ted Malone, the Vice President of Consumer Products and Services at TiVo.
Okay, I'm not sure these podiums are made for anything other than a piece of paper. Let's give it a try. Thank you. Tonight I'm honored to introduce my friend and colleague, Roz Ho. Roz is the SVP and GM at TiVo, responsible for our consumer and metadata business. I've known Roz for almost 10 years and have worked with her at 3 companies now, Microsoft, Ericsson, and TiVo. And really, Roz is a great colleague to work with, as well as a caring and thoughtful person. She always challenges those around her to do the best they can, and she's always open to different and diverse perspectives. On the rare occasions that she is wrong, which doesn't happen often, Roz owns it and grows from it. And one of Roz's, I think, favorite moments at work is hosting brainstorming sessions where people come up with fun, kind of wacky, creative, and unconventional ideas, and some of them have even turned out to be good ones. And a few became patents and successful business drivers. I think the video showed kind of a nice example of some of those. But one of the things that impresses me most about Roz is that she's constantly learning. She's evolved from building enterprise productivity software, consumer smartphones, console gaming, cloud services, media and entertainment products. Really, she's developed her leadership skills over her 30-year career, growing from an individual contributor to a leader of large cross-functional teams around the world. Always looking for a new challenge, Roz is now diving deep into the new areas of AI and machine learning. Roz is also a big believer in giving back to the community. She's served on the boards of several local nonprofits, focusing on helping disadvantaged youths. She's an active mentor to those around her, not just me. And she's been featured in a documentary film titled Code, Debugging the Gender Gap. Roz has even funded projects on her own to bring technology to remote communities in need, and she believes in bringing diverse knowledge and perspectives. I've watched her over the years travel the world several times to places I had not heard of before, participating in and helping to fund research expeditions to ensure that history, culture, and language is not forgotten in an increasingly homogeneous world. Roz has spoken at many events on women in technology, a topic near and dear to me as I try to help my 17-year-old daughter get into Cal Poly to study computer science. She's working really hard, and she's inspired by people just like Roz and a lot of the women in this room. I'm happy that WITI is welcoming Roz into their ranks tonight, and I'm pleased to introduce my friend and colleague, Roz Ho.
I am honored to be inducted into the Women of Technology Hall of Fame. I stand proud, but a little shorter than Yan Bing, and humble to be part of this very accomplished group of women honored today, as well as all the other women in the WITI Hall of Fame. I want to express my deepest appreciation to all the people that have helped and support me in my career. My family, my sister's hair, and my spouse, my colleagues, my friends, and my sponsors, past and present. Thank you so much for putting up with my pride when I've succeeded, lifting me up when I failed, sharing your knowledge when I'm ignorant, listening without judgment, and most of all, patiently giving me advice when I've lost my way. One of the best pieces of career advice I've been given is to ask for what you want, even if you don't think you deserve it. Years ago, there was a corporate VP position opened in the company I formerly worked at, and I didn't think I was qualified for it. My mentor very sternly told me to express my interest, and I finally gathered up my courage and asked. I didn't get that job, but you know what? It put me into a track that eventually led me to a corporate VP position later. What I want to ask from you today is to have more confidence in yourself and gather up your courage and take some risk. I said in the video that I was inspired by my mother, but I was also inspired by many other women. Just to name a few, Gertrude Bell, one of the first female archaeologists working in the Middle East, Sally Ride, of course, the first female astronaut, and Grace Hopper, computer scientist. They were pioneers forging ahead and overcoming barriers even when they were told there was no road forward. Because of that spirit, they have increased the scope of our knowledge and or invented a new solution to a problem, and doing so improved the world for all of us. There are many complex problems today that are still waiting for new ways of thinking, someone to come up with new innovations. I hope that in the future, at least 50% of those someones will be women. I want to thank Carolyn and the Women in Technology International for honoring me with the Hall of Fame selection, and to again thank everyone who has been part of my journey here. I want to end with just one more piece of advice. Work on something you're passionate about, do that with people that you connect with, and go have fun.
Let's welcome Roz Ho to the Women in Technology Hall of Fame. Our next honoree is Dr. Santosh Kurinec, Professor of Electrical and Microelectronic Engineering at the Rochester Institute of Technology. Santosh is a fellow of the IEEE, a member of the New York State Academy of Sciences, and a recipient of the 2012 IEEE Technical Field Award. In 2016, she received the Medal of Honor from the International Association of Advanced Materials. Let's watch the video to learn more about Santosh.
When I talk to students, the first thing I tell them, we are talking to you about the future technologies, where we are heading towards, but you will be building those technologies. So imagine your role 5 years or 10 years or 20 years from now, and that's where they get very much engaged. I'm Santosh K. My research is on advanced nanoscale electronic materials and devices, and I'm Professor of Electrical and Microelectronic Engineering Department at Rochester Institute of Technology. The semiconductor technology is one of the most astounding technologies of the present generation. We have seen over the last decades this technology taking off, and we have seen such enormous computing power, communication power, and when students see that, they feel really excited about it. But to common public, I want to tell them, the moment you look at a cell phone or a very fast computer, there's this integrated circuit chip behind it. So how those chips are made, that's what we teach. So let's look at the smartphone. Almost everyone has this. So most people think it's some magic device. It gets information and you text your pictures and you get your information and messages. But what enables that? There are semiconductor chips inside, and that's what most people don't know. Microelectronic engineering is a discipline that teaches how those chips are built. So the semiconductor technology is expanding into new horizons, from computing to AI to healthcare to energy. So there will be demand for a lot more engineers in the future, and that's where we put all our passion in teaching young minds. I think we all have challenges in one form or the other. And women bring a unique perspective and they are open to collaborations. And I think that if we have a mixed group of scientists and engineers, we share each other's experiences, and that helps us in solving problems. Science discovers and engineering creates. So when we combine the two together, we can explore beyond what we have on planet Earth.
Introducing Santosh this evening is her former student and mentee, Shubhra Srivastava, now an Intel engineer.
Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Kurinec. I first met Santosh quite by accident at a social event, and it was a turning point in my life. I had just graduated from SUNY Binghamton in electrical engineering and hadn't quite figured out a career ahead. In her inimitable style, she had a solution, literally in a heartbeat. All I needed to do was to apply for a master's in microelectronics at Rochester Institute of Technology. That was the best advice I ever received, and I am forever in her debt for that. This was 25 years ago. Santosh has continued to be the sunny spot in upstate New York. Over the years, I have come to know Santosh, the superwoman. She has a brilliant mind and a humility that is rare. As a teacher, she could explain the most complex concepts in the simplest of ways, often using daily life observations, comparing diffusion of atoms with movement of cars on the streets of India. She is as passionate in her discussion about physics as she is about other important topics that touch us: social causes, politics, films, and even music. She role modeled the balance of raising a young child as a dedicated mom and the pursuit of excellence in her academic and professional life. Santosh is a true feminist at heart, growing up under a strong mother who was a housewife, but one who could jerry rig ropes and pulleys to control light switches in her house. Santosh grew up knowing that gender was not going to get in her way. To this day, she is equally a leader who encourages women students, such as myself, to always aspire for the best in science and technology, as she is in being at the cutting edge of silicon processing and microelectronics. It is my immense privilege to introduce Dr. Kurinec, my teacher, my mentor, my friend, and my role model. Thank you for believing in me when I wasn't so sure of myself.
Thank you, Shubhra, for a very flattering and very heart-touching introduction. I'm really proud of you coming from a distinguished engineer like yourself, and we can easily switch the roles. So I thank WITI for inducting me to the Hall of Fame, among other very emancipated and very, very women who have achieved a lot with their distinguished careers, and I feel very humbled and I feel very proud to be part of you all. I congratulate you to all. Now, Peggy, thanks for arranging all the events, and you gave me 90 seconds, and that makes me very hard. How do I explain my 4 decades of journey in 90 seconds? And I try to do some calculations. It comes down to about 6 months per second, about 10 million seconds in 1 second. And that means I have to move with velocity of light. So having said that, how I got here, I'll summarize in just 2 sentences, because time is so short. The first sentence is, while I was a middle school kid, playing in my veranda, making doll houses out of rejected cardboard boxes, my mother is fixing a Tulu pump. She's priming an air cooling pump. My father brings grocery on his bike, a modest beginning, and he makes a statement. He says, when you enter your adult life, life will be very different. Women must be educated to be economically independent. And he said independent, not affluent. So that somehow, and he says that those opportunities will come through science and technology. That was a very frank and prescient statement that he made that stuck in my mind, and I opted to go for science track in high schools. So I made my own dolls, I made teacher doll, doctor doll, engineer doll before Mattel made Barbie. And my doll never said math class is hard. So the second sentence that I have in my mind, which is ingrained, on a very sultry summer of July 1969 in Delhi, in India, we were hovering around a Philips tube radio, which was the only connection to the outside world. We, my family, and my neighbors, and we are trying to tune the shortwave Voice of America and heard the eagle has landed. Now that statement was stunning excitement that stayed in my mind forever, and we went beyond imaginations. So that took me to physics all the way to the doctoral level. So when I got my PhD, I received my degree from one of the few first women prime ministers, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, in New Delhi. So she was the Chancellor of University of Delhi. And so these two statements tell me, first statement gives you the motivation. The second statement gives you the passion. So when we combine the two, we can aspire any dreams we have. And that's what I'll tell all young women. So after doing my PhD, the energy crisis hit the planet, and we were early 80s, late 70s. So I came to University of Florida to work on making solar cells for terrestrial applications. So that brought me to the area of semiconductors. And after I finished my postdoc, I moved to Tallahassee, Florida State University. And that was the time when US was working on strategic defense initiative. So I did project on semiconductor optics and superconductivity. And that was a time that CMOS industry was going to submicron technology node. They wanted polysilicon gate, and I did work on polysilicon, so I came to Rochester Institute of Technology because the first university that had a microelectronic engineering program. So ever since I've been at RIT, and some people ask me, why did you trade sunny Florida for snowy upstate New York? And I gave a simple answer, that solar cells behave better at lower temperatures. So I work on advanced memory devices right now, neuromorphic computing, so that we can mimic the human brain. And I work also on increasing the efficiency of solar cells at lower cost so that all of you can have solar panels on your home like I have. And so I would say that in the end, I will try to thank all people who have helped me in mentoring, my PhD advisor, my postdoc mentor, Paul Holloway from University of Florida, my former department head, Dave Kearns, and Lynn Fuller, the founder of microelectronic engineering program. And I also thank outstanding women collaborators I've had, from Chris Campbell from Boise State University, Simone Raoul from IBM TJ Watson, Jean Jordan Sweet from Brookhaven National Lab, Katrina Rook from Vico, and many other women I wish I had time to speak. And I thank all my students. I have graduated a number of women students who are doing very well, like Shubhra. And I have my first PhD student, Archana Devesia. She works for NASA Goddard. I have a student who works for IMEC Belgium, Hewlett Packard, and many Intel. And when I go back on 15th June, my student Jenna is defending her thesis and joining Intel at Portland, Oregon. So I see all my men and women students doing very well. That's very satisfying. So I thank my all colleagues, friends, and family across the globe for their steadfast support and tolerating my science jokes. And I really thank my dear son, who is come all the way from San Francisco to attend this event. And he's been a source of happiness, and he's been my reference calibration standard, how young minds think creatively. That helps me to connect with my students. So that really helps that. Thank you, Jeevan, I love you. And in the end, I will thank all my students, past, present, and future, for what they have been doing and what they will be doing in the future for the society. And in the end, I will also thank all the scientists and engineers among us who are visible as well as hidden figures. So, thank you.
We are indeed honored to welcome Dr. Santosh Kurinec to the Women in Technology International Hall of Fame tonight. Let me take a moment to mention that tonight's 23rd Annual Hall of Fame Awards Dinner is a fundraising event for the Women in Technology International Foundation, which is a nonprofit corporation. The WITI Foundation donates all after-tax profits to the programs that encourage young women to choose careers in science and technology. You see, WITI is not only about celebrating innovators, but it is also actively committed to paving the way for future leaders. So we encourage you to support the organizations like WITI because it's essential to our global future. Again, you help make all of this possible. Our final honoree for this evening is Elizabeth Jake Feinler, an internet pioneer. Jake managed the ARPANET and the Defense Data Network, both of which were forerunners of today's internet. She joined SRI International in 1960 and became a member of Dr. Douglas Engelbart's Augmentation Research Center. Her group developed the first WHOIS server, along with an early model for today's email system, as well as a top-level domain naming scheme of .com, .edu, etc. Let's see more about Jake.
Elizabeth Jocelyn Jake Feinler is an American information scientist and internet pioneer. From 1972 until 1989, she was director of the Network Information Systems Center at Stanford Research Institute, now called SRI International. She was the principal investigator to help plan and run the new Network Information Center, or NIC, for the ARPANET, the foundation of the internet.
So they were going to call me Betty Jo, short for Elizabeth Jocelyn. But she was 2 years old at the time, and she just couldn't say it right, and it just sounded like she was calling me Baby Jake, and everybody thought it was funny, and it stuck.
Growing up in Wheeling, West Virginia, she received an undergraduate degree in chemistry from West Liberty State College, the first from her family to attend college.
I didn't plan on anything. When I was growing up in West Virginia, if an opportunity came along, I thought, oh wow, an opportunity. To me, the three killer apps were email, the World Wide Web, and then finally the iPhone, or things held in your hand, First they were held on your desk, but what happened with the Network Information Center was I was able to bring women in and work them up through the ranks. And so that, to me, that was something that I took great pride in doing. I found that kind of fun in a way, that I was able to make space for some women in this new technology. We put out the ARPANET directory. We didn't want to put anybody's title in the Vietnam era. So we had, kids on there that were against the Vietnam War, and then we had a lot of military, and I didn't want anybody to know who they were talking to, and that worked.
Jake donated an extensive collection of early internet papers to the Computer History Museum and worked as a volunteer at the museum to organize the material. She published a history of the NIC in 2010. In 2012, Jake was inducted into the Internet Hall of Fame by the Internet Society. In July 2013, she received the Jonathan B. Postel Award for her contributions to the early development administration of the Internet.
We don't turn into the Tower of Babel, and we don't use the internet for nefarious purposes, that it's for more good than evil. And it's just an instrument to my way of thinking, something that allows us to do wonderful things, incredible technical achievement, and I was glad to be a little part of it.
Here this evening to introduce Jake is her colleague, Claire Evans, the author of Broadband, the untold story of the women who made the internet, including our very own Elizabeth Jake Feinler.
Hi, everyone. It's really my great honor to introduce a hero of mine, Jake Feinler. As you've seen, her technical contributions to the internet were incredibly significant, and I could stand up here for hours and talk to you about how she managed the first host tables for the ARPANET and created Whois, or how she's responsible for the internet's earliest technical documentation and the .com domain to boot. I could tell you how she built the network information center of the ARPANET from a 2-person operation to an $11 million project. But what has always impressed me most about Jake in learning about her is her deep sense of the human impact of technology. She understood much earlier than anyone else could hope to that the internet would not just be a tool for engineers and scientists to share computing resources with one another. She understood that it was, and that it always would be, a communication and information network. She knew this implicitly because information was her business. Her office was the central hub for the ARPANET's documentation, its archives, and its people. Her office was where the ARPANET's phone rang, which is something I always tell people, like there used to be a phone number for the internet and you could call it and Jake's people would answer it. Can you imagine how much work that is? She was really the one-woman Google of her day. All of this allowed her to see that networked computing could only ever be about people and for people, and in that sense, it had to be as accessible to as many people as possible. All of her tireless work to keep the early internet organized, structured, and above all, egalitarian in spirit, work which made it possible for the internet to grow and develop so rapidly and mightily as it did in its early years, all that came from a deep care for the delicate human ecosystems that connect us all. Tonight, we honor that care by honoring Jake, but I suggest that we honor it as well by repeating it well into the future, because we're all in this together. So now, all together, please join me in welcoming Jake Feinler to the Hall of Fame.
I want to thank Claire for resurrecting me from the annals of network history and letting the world know that there were some women in technology in those days. And then, of course, I want to thank WITI for inducting me into their prestigious Hall of Fame. It's quite an honor, and I thank you. Of course, I'm older than most of the inductees and most of the people in this room, and my days as a early geek girl were coming to their end. But when I look around this audience and I look at the fellow inductees, I'm just amazed at what the internet has become and what these women have become. I feel like women are on the edge of the golden age of women in technology, and I feel that from looking around this room and hearing what all of you have achieved. All I can say about that is take care of the internet, maintain your integrity, reach for the highest good, support each other, and you go, girls.
We are truly delighted to welcome Jake Feinler to the Women in Technology Hall of Fame this year. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our program for this evening. It has truly been an extraordinary night. We hope to see you here next year for the 24th Hall of Fame Awards during the 2019 Women in Technology Summit, which will begin on June 10th, 2018. So between now and then, continue to make history. Thank you and good night.